How's it going, lads and gals? My name is Beckett and welcome back to another Beckett Reacts video. Before we get into today's video, which is a very interesting one, I have something I'd like to say to you all. Thank you. Well and truly from the bottom of my heart, thank you. As of recording this, which is the 21st of July, within the last few days, I reached a milestone which I've always hoped to reach, especially ever since the end of last year, and I'm glad that I've made it, because I feel that it now means that I can achieve my next goal. I want to thank you all for getting me to 500 subscribers, and I'm probably not the first to say this, but it feels bizarre that 500 people would like my content enough to subscribe and keep seeing more content from me. It's a weird thing. I feel that it's a weird thing that I feel that I'm probably not the first person to feel. Feel this, that is. But it's like, I enjoy the content. I enjoy making the content I make. I enjoy putting it out there for people. But I don't feel that I'm that entertaining enough, or that funny enough, or just enough of anything for people to stick around for it all. But I mean, evidently, the fact that people have subscribed to me, the fact that I've surpassed 100 subscribers, and now that I'm at 500 subscribers, I mean, clearly that's been proven wrong to some degree, evidently. But yeah, basically just thank you for getting me this far, and it definitely puts a reassurance in me that clearly I'm wrong. My content is worth watching and is worth subscribing to people. With that mindset, let's keep this ball rolling. So with that mindset, let's keep this ball rolling, shall we? Here's to the next milestone, 1,000. So, on with the video. So, like I said, this is a Sergeant Beckett Reacts, and we're back with Jubilee. However, I'm curious to see how this one's gonna go. So, if you watch this channel quite a lot, you'll know that, you will see that I've reacted to Jubilee a lot, and Jubilee tends to, tends to talk about a lot of hard-hitting, serious topics. Today, I'm wondering how this is going to turn out. Today's Sergeant Beckett Reacts for Jubilee is who makes better movies, Marvel or DC? Now my expectations of how this is going to go, I can't even fathom, so I'm not even going to guess. But I'm just going to give you my take on this. I'm just going to be my take on this as usual. When it comes to me, I'm a Marvel fan. Always have been. I can't remember what I watched first, but I kind of grew up watching both sort of Marvel and DC at the same time, sort of thing. So I kind of had the majority of both of them. That being said, I tended to sway towards the more Marvel side of things for two reasons. Reason A, Tony Stark, Iron Man. He's my favorite character of any superhero ever. Fucking love him, he's awesome. And the second reason is the DC universe, I find, is quite dark and sort of eerie. Like, Marvel has its darkest points, but like generally it's pretty like an upbeat sort of, upbeat, very bright sort of like franchise. DC I see is more of just like a really dark and sort of gloomy sort of thing. I mean, especially with the new Batman film, The Batman with Robert Pattinson. That heavily leans into that really like melancholic, I think is the word, and darkish sort of style. But yeah, so that's my views. Let's go see what this video how this is gonna go, shall we? I'm very intrigued to see how this is played out.
Spider-Man were not good. Like, I grew up watching those, and I was not a huge fan.
The Tobey?
No.
Maguire?
Yeah, Tobey.
What?
I did not.
Oh dear. Oh god. Oh. Right. First, just straight off the bat, I have straight off the bat. I'm a part of many pop culture fan groups on Facebook, and oh my god, the debates people get into when it comes to the Spider-Man. Jesus Christ. Like, if there's one thing I've learned about the Spider-Man fandom, you don't want to piss off the Tobey Maguire fan base. Because those are the guys who are like, they're like the OG Spider-Man, and they think there's no, like, there's nothing that can top Tobey Maguire, because he was the original guy who did it and everything else, and he's the one who like set the tone for the character. Personally, I don't like him. I mean, no, not that I don't. Okay, I have very little memory of the Spider-Man movies. I have very little memory of them because I don't really. I know I've seen like maybe one or two of like the Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies. But they're very like weak memories from childhood that I can't base much off. The only Spider-Man that I have seen properly in most recent years is, well, you know, it's Tom Holland. And for me, and personally, he's my personal favorite Spider-Man, mainly because obviously he's the MCU Spider-Man as well. So. But before I have seen of the Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, they are pretty good at Spider-Man, so... Anyway, let's actually get on with the video and not, yeah. Oi, play.
When I look back at my fandom since I was tiny, you know, the biggest impact I think for me has been Batman. When people really know comics, they know what, you know, DC's bringing to the table.
I could see how they can defend like their video games and their comics, but I don't know how they're going to back up the movies.
No shade, but their movies aren't that great.
Ultimately, you see a very cookie-cutter pattern of how Marvel makes their films versus DC, which is super great.
Also, another thing I've noticed. So, I know, two things I've noticed. One of them I knew first, and one of them I realized quite recently. So, obviously, the first one. Now, obviously, I know both franchises do both take from comic books. So I don't know the story, and I don't know the story behind both comic book franchises. Only that I do know that. I mean, I know about like sort of like I obviously know about the general premise of the Marvel franchise, because obviously, or the Marvel comic franchise, because obviously the Marvel films are based off those comics, so I understand that sort of theory. But one thing I've noticed is, obviously with Marvel, you've got like the first ever Marvel film was Tony Stark, Iron Man 1, the first Iron Man film, which sort of like introduced the first, not the first Avenger, but like, you know, like I can't try to have like the first on-screen Avenger or something like that. It's the film that sets it off. Hi there. So I'm just gonna butt in a bit here and just kinda explain this again, but in a more thought out way and not just all belted out and blurbed out or murmured out or whatever. Basically, I'm gonna think it through first before I say it, and not just spout it out as I'm thinking it through. Yeah. So basically, what I'm explaining here is that I understand that so I haven't seen the comics, but I have seen them in the way that I know that certain plot points or certain timelines are based off of other plot points and timelines from the comics. So obviously, maybe some of the films don't play out exactly the same way in the comics, but obviously I know that some things play out similarly. So I'm aware of, you know, I'm sort of knowledgeable of understanding that obviously some of these things, this has been inspired by the comics and stuff. I understand that. So basically, what I was trying to explain then, in a more clear way, is that, so The difference I've noticed with Marvel and DC is that with Marvel you have like a strict timeline that it follows. One event leads to the next and the next and the next, and then past events also influence future events. That is so much clearer. I've just taken what 5-10 seconds to explain what I tried to explain the same thing that I tried to explain in what, a minute. Yes, obviously you got the Iron Man film, which obviously that sets up the whole MCU. Obviously it sets up obviously it goes through Tony Stark becoming an Avenger, and then it sets up the whole idea of SHIELD and Nick Fury developing the Avengers Initiative, an idea that he created years ago, but which we now discovered in later films such as Captain Marvel and also Captain America: The First Avenger. And obviously the films go on. We get introduced to these new characters. They get their introductory film, and then after we're introduced to them all, then we get the big sort of big finale, give or per se, film, which in this case will be the Avengers, the first film where all these characters that we've been learning about over the last however many years it was come together to fight off an enemy that we discover, an enemy that we eventually later on in Avengers Endgame discover that has been responsible for everything post Endgame that the Avengers have had to deal with. The MCU has a massive storyline, and it's woven and it's a linear timeline that just keeps going forward. That's constantly referencing back or possibly forward depending on when this film is set. Whereas the DC films, they're very sporadic. Apart from obviously, I think, like the Superman, I think, for an example that I know of for sure, apart from the Dark Knight films, obviously you've got the Dark Knight Rises, then you obviously got the next Dark Knight film, and then the Dark Knight trilogy. Make it easy to myself. Obviously, there are certain film ones where obviously they have a linear like a timeline that follows, a story that follows from film to the next, from the next film to the next film to the next film, but it doesn't really last that long. And after a while, you just get a restart, like another film about the same hero, or another film about a different hero. And as well as that, Marvel, they have the same actors but the same heroes throughout. Whereas DC, you can have multiple actors for one character, so again, Marvel, so you got Iron Man, Tony Stark, RDJ, no one else. Thor, Chris Hemsworth, no one else. Loki, forgot his name, Tom Hiddleston, no one else. Whereas Batman, you've got Ben Affleck, Michael Keaton, I think, and other actors. Superman, you got Henry Cavill. Other actors, like I don't know, Superman actor, Henry Cavill. Yeah, that's a more clearer explanation of what I was trying to say. Anyway, back to the video.
Super dark.
I will die on a hill of really apologizing and loving some of these new movies more than most people should.
I think my only expectation really is to kind of understand, where the other side's coming from. How do they connect with someone like Superman, who to me has the personality of a brick?
My name is Ryan. I'm a philosophy major at university. I studied art history as well. The more I think about it, those things tie in a lot for the reason why I love comics so much.
Hey, I'm Will. I'm a lifelong, I would say comic book fan, but really DC Homer, as my friend would call me. An apologist, some would say, to a certain degree.
I'm Matt, and I am as well a DC guy. I'm actually trying to get into voice acting and voiceover. Like watching all these animated shows and whatnot, it's really inspiring to see all these characters come to life through voice and whatnot, so that's what I'm trying to do.
Hi, I'm Sarah. Marvel's pretty much always been like my favorite genre of movies. I love watching all the movies. I really love cinematography and I love how they're always played out, so yeah, I'm a Marvel fan.
I'm Nick, and I like Marvel so much that I bought a 3D printer and started printing a bunch of props for it. So I've got a 4-foot Stormbreaker sitting in my room, not doing anything.
I'm Chris. I'm a Marvel fan. I wish I could say super fan. Just within the recent years, I've been getting like deep and deeper into it. So there's some things I may not know about, but I'm cultured around the area, so I can get around.
Marvel is only considered better because of the movies.
Ooh. I don't know. Oh, is that saying like the movies are better, but the comics are worse? If that's the case, I can't actually comment on that. In that case, I stopped reading comics when I was really fucking young because I just got bored of it. I prefer movies. Like I like any books or film. I'm just like ugh. So if that's what it means, then I can't comment. I do reckon that the MCU has probably helped with like obviously when obviously the Marvel film was like when the MCU was starting. Like obviously there was the comics before that, but then obviously then they have the MCU, which brought in a whole new generation of like audiences to cater for like people who like movies and stuff. So I don't know. I can't really just say, but let's have a look.
Walk forward if you agree.
What do people say? Oh, okay. Of course the DC guys go off.
Unless they're comic book fanatics, I don't hear anybody talking about the comics, let alone the shows, even the games or anything. I only hear the movies.
Thank you for being the only one here, by the way. Because it is challenging, I think, right now to
that is a good point. When you think of Marvel, you don't think of the comics that much, I guess, anymore. I mean, depending on, unless you read the comics, I think if you're like a newbie to it all, and you're like starting out with Marvel and you're watching the movies, I guess you don't think when you hear Marvel, you don't think you don't think of the comics. So I don't. So I've never read a Marvel comic. Well, no, I lie. I have, but that was back in the day when I didn't really understand what the fuck anything was, and I just was like, oh look, it's Iron Man in a like a picture-based thing. Cool, yay, awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't consider that.
be a DC fan because of that feeling. Socially, the conversation is Marvel.
Oh, yeah.
So extremely that every time DC puts out a movie, it's like almost expected that you're supposed to shit on it.
Right.
Because it's not as good. They did it wrong. Now, have they stumbled along the way? Tons of times.
Mm-hmm.
But I get this feeling that no one's entering into seeing a DC movie to just be vulnerable and experience what they're being given.
And it's recency bias, right? Because Christopher Reeve with Superman launched, but then you also think about the Batmans with Michael Keaton, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Jack Nicholson, and then even Batman Forever with Val Kilmer. Maybe not so much after that, but there was no Marvel movies at the time.
The Dark Knight kind of faded into the background when people talk about DC movies. And it's like, those were great films.
Awesome.
I mean,
Yeah.
we don't have the Marvel Cinematic Universe, in my opinion, without Batman Begins.
All right, disagreeers, come forward.
So was he saying that without the Batman Begins film, the MCU wouldn't exist? Interesting.
I'm still on your side, you guys.
Did you forget we were here? The movies, the TV shows, the video games, the comic books, the books, when you oversimplify it to one aspect, you're immediately erasing thousands of people's hard work and not giving them the credit that they deserve as they add to the rest of the brand.
I guess I'm thinking, could you argue that simply because of the MCU, more people care? It used
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
to be that to be a nerd back, even in the 90s, because I love Spider-Man, X-Men, all that stuff from the 90s. Doing cosplay, when I was doing cosplay, people yelling at me, saying stupid, dressing up in movies, all kinds of stuff. Now cosplayers get millions of followers.
Oh yeah, gotcha, definitely.
Like on Instagram. The MCU actually made nerds cool.
Yeah.
And so when I think of better, I think like, kind of to your point, detracts from all the like suffering of the nerds that got kicked and shoved in their closets.
To get here.
So now that the MCU exists, I'm like, oh, now you want to say it's cool. Okay, fine, yeah.
I do believe some of the comics do better than some of the Marvel stuff that is out. Like with all the Spider-Man, the original Spider-Man were not good. Like I grew up watching those and I was not a huge fan.
Wait, the 90s?
No. Yeah, Toby. What? I did not.
What? The Sam Raimi? He's worse than Andrew Garfield?
I see those movies as like corny perfection. It's like absolute
corny,
cheese.
like you said, it's corny.
Right, I love that.
He didn't give me that representation. I'm an awkward teen. He was like a very just dark and like brooding, like more DC. He just was very not awkward, how I wanted to see Peter Parker.
You're telling me that Spider-Man 3 dance wasn't awkward to you?
That was.
Your generation, especially now, you can see that you guys don't really like the dark, gritty, because right now,
everyone just wants happy stories.
Yeah, everything that's going on right now, you don't want to see even darker.
I want depression personified.
Yeah, exactly.
I think DC kind of shows people like what they already see in humanity. They're like, wow, are our cities actually like this? Like, is this actually happening? I feel like people kind of get scared and they're like, yeah, I don't want to deal with that.
Our characters are more relatable.
God, I guess, I don't know. I guess I guess that's kind of true for both sides. I mean, the only backstory I know of, I can remember is Batman, because he was the only DC superhero I religiously was a fan of when I was a DC fan. But I don't know. I would say yes, Marvel was more relatable, but that's me being biased, because I have no information on DC characters to go on.
Let's run real quick. It's just the fact that, especially like me growing up, that I could just look at like these different heroes. Like I was like, I'm not built like no Captain America, but I can relate to him in the heart. It's what matters. And so I'm just like, just seeing every character. I'm like, oh, that's me. Oh, wait, that could be me. Oh, that could be me. And I'm just like, I've just experienced that with Marvel. And that's how I was just like, let me just run up in here real quick.
Peter Parker and his anxiety. It's so relatable as a teenager and seeing another teenager get all these superpowers, and he's like, I'm just a kid, like, I'm just trying to go to school, like, I need a break.
It's kind of a combination between the comics, the TV shows, the MCU in total. When you humanize a character first and then introduce their abilities, you not only give the audience time to relate to them and attach themselves to the character, but you give them an opportunity to see them superpower, amazingness. Things like that, just make Marvel just a bit more relatable to me.
Welcome.
There is an element to DC that I get, that they are unrelatable. Superman really is the most obvious, because he's overpowered from another planet, all these things. But at the same time, at the core of all that is this unbreakable goodness.
Like Superman, one of the things I always found really endearing is he comes from a different planet, he has unlimited power, but at the same time, once he met Ma and Pa Kent, he fell in love with like the family and being a...
Also, I've just realised, like, from what I've seen, with the exception of a couple, like obviously Batman and stuff, a lot of DC superheroes, they are either an extraterrestrial or they have like some sort of superhuman ability, like Aquaman and the Flash and Wonder Woman and Superman. That's like they also sort of they also have some sort of extra stuff. Whereas in Marvel, like there are quite a few superheroes who do not have any extra stuff. They are literally just good at kicking the shit out of bad guys. Like fucking, what's that? Not Wonder. That's fucking no. What am I thinking? Wait, Widowmaker. No, not Widowmaker. No, no, Black Widow. Fucking hell. Oh, it was the W that was confusing me. Like Black Widow and like so many others that just aren't. Other people like Black Widow who aren't particularly they don't have any like super abilities, but they're just really skilled at fighting and stuff. Someone else I've read as well.
A high schooler and learning how to acclimate, and so at the end of the day, they are dealing with the same human and basic problems and conflicts that we have.
I think that's where Zach really tried to tie it all in. It's with Batman vs Superman. DC fans hated. They were not about that, and it's just like,
don't worry, we did too.
Everyone hated it. Exactly.
I actually liked it, but then again, that's understandable for me.
People were not a fan of it, but it's just like he tried to humanize these characters, and that was really an important step to take, because
that's probably actually why the Justice League films are the only ones I really like, because I don't know, there's something about those sets of films that just I've liked more than any other DC movie ever. That's probably why.
With Superman, Batman, they were never shown to have a breaking point or be showed as the villain.
Fallible
essentially.
too, yeah.
Yeah, but also going back to representation and relatability, like, you know, Asian. Not many Asian superheroes, but, you know, with Shang Tsung and all these other characters, I would give props to Marvel. And as long as it's not forced, you know, like shoved down people's. That's what I really don't like. But as long as it's not shoved down people's throats and like you're gonna have to digest this, then I'm all for it.
When you guys did bring on Peter Parker and Spider-Man, stuff like that, me being from New York, and so I was just like, I see him and I see me. At the time, I was like, oh, you know what? I want to go to this college too, and I want to go here, and I want to do that. And I'm like, you know what? Hopefully, I do get bit by a spider on the way there. So I'm just like, okay, cool.
I genuinely, as a kid, like having what I felt like my own superhero backstory was like losing a parent at a young age, being kind of a caretaker to her, my mom, when I was 15, and still losing that person. It rewired in my brain many things, one of which was take care of other people and put yourself second, put everybody else first. 2, never show the crack in that it's actually crippling you trying to be perfect. Because I did always try to say like, when you see me, you're gonna be like, how does he just fly through life? You know what I mean? Yeah. I thought that was healthy, wasn't. And then once I realized that I actually could be vulnerable, I could be broken, and that being broken is more beautiful and makes you more powerful, that sort of opened up the floodgates of finding those things in the DC characters. And I think the writers, especially now in comics, are going that route.
My fan community can be toxic.
Ooh. Oh. Oh. Now, I can't speak for the DC fan community, but boy, can I speak for the Marvel one. Hell, God. Whew. Like, pretty much, you talk about anything post-Endgame, someone will have some shit to say about it. Someone will have one bad opinion about it, and some of them will just smack them down for it. It is just wild, and just especially with all the new movies that have come out recently, like fucking especially with like Captain Marvel and fucking I don't know what was that? Ant-Man Quantumania. I don't know. You need to look up. I need to look up recent Marvel movies because I've kind of forgotten some of them. See? Hold on. Okay. So I've got a list here. So I'm literally gonna go through all these films that I see, and I'm gonna go yes to every. I'm gonna like either say yes or just acknowledge to every single film that I come across that I've seen at least 1 or 2 Facebook posts about shitting on it for. So, I say pretty much anything post-Endgame. Obviously, the one film before Endgame that came out, Captain Marvel, I mean, that was mainly because everyone hated Brie Larson. That's the only reason why they really didn't like that. Spider-Man Far From Home was pretty well received. Black Widow was, I think. Eternals, bloody hell was that was not well received. That was, oh god. I mean, I liked it, but that does not go down well with the community. No Way Home was an even split, I think. Some saying it was crap, some saying it was good. Multiverse of Madness, I think that was again sort of a split one, but it was more towards the negative side of things. I think so. Love and oh god, Love and Thunder. Oh boy, woo! Love and Thunder. I think probably the most shat upon MCU movie to come out in the last probably. Do I want to say probably last couple years? From what I've seen, people hated it with a passion. I loved it because it was a very comedic take on the film, but like not as hated, but pretty much still hasn't received great reception. Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, and Ant-Man Quantumania. Okay, so not a lot of films have received bad. Not been as many bad films as I thought there were, but it was pretty. But it's still quite a good couple. Guardians has received some pretty good stuff, but I don't have high hopes for the Marvels movie. I don't have high hopes for it. Yeah. That's then when it comes to the TV shows, so everything was pretty much everything was pretty much had good was received very well. Miss Marvel had a few problems. She-Hulk was bloody hated. Loki was so most like the first stuff was pretty good. So again, not as many disliked, but you still hear shit thrown around so much in the Marvel community, it's unreal. But yeah. So I can't speak for the DC community, but Marvel community, yeah, it's definitely toxic. You cannot be a Marvel fan and say that there is no that it's not toxic, because it is. Well, I don't know if you can't be a Marvel fan, but
I want to talk about a no-brainer question.
I was gonna say, I think we can all agree that every fan community is toxic.
Even if it's something as simple as, someone's title changing or someone becoming a new hero, you immediately get the people on Twitter just being like, I hate this person. I honestly feel really bad for Brie Larson because
she, oh boy, God, it's such a hot topic, I can't even form a sentence for it. Brie Larson, I would go so far as to say it's probably the most hated Marvel superhero of them all. Because they just hate her.
She got the brunt of it during that whole Captain Marvel phase. And personally, I liked her. I think she's a great actress. I think
I don't really understand what the problem is.
I don't either.
I'm not a big fan of the character, but I was like, this is fun. I don't want to
Exactly. It's like when you dehumanize the actor and treat them as they're only that.
Right.
That's not being a fan.
Yeah.
That's being an ass.
I remember when Black Panther came out, a lot of people refused to see it because they said it's a PC movie.
Exactly.
It's like there's
Really? Wow, I didn't hear about that.
so much vitriol in different corners. I like to believe it's not most people, but like the loudest voices on social media are like always. Yeah,
Always.
exactly.
Because those are the ones that get attention.
Right.
Yeah, even the Black Panther, anything like this is supposed to be a black Superman coming out, and people are
Yeah,
gonna be
yeah,
like,
I've heard
oh yeah,
about that.
that's born of.
Oh God, yeah. That's another thing, like, fucking... Okay, so... Here's an opinion I have that I know not a lot of people agree with. And that's fine. I know it's fine. And people agree, I know people... I know this opinion I have people don't agree with, I know that, and that's fine. You don't agree with it, you have your own opinion, that's how life works. When I think it was Multiverse of Madness was being filmed, there was rumors that Tom Cruise would play a Tony Stark variant. Now, I know. Now, as a Tony Stark fan, I know he could not be replaced. You cannot replace RDJ as Tony Stark. You just can't do it. That being said, Tom Cruise, I feel, would have made a good variant, a good multiverse variant of Tony Stark, and that's something you might not agree with. That's fine. However, me personally, I was like, I'd be okay with that. And again, I think the Falcon Sam Wilson becoming, I think that's Sam Wilson. I think is becoming Captain America. I think that's gonna be fun. I think that's a good person to carry that baton too. or that shield to be accurate. But and I can agree that obviously Chris Evans will always be Steve Rogers, and will always be the original Captain America. But as a good successor, Sam Wilson is a good option.
of the political correctness.
Politically
But
correct.
there's been iterations of
Well,
black
also,
Superman.
it's comic books, so why not?
Yeah, it's like it's not only limited to just white people. And
There's a
like,
multiverse for a reason.
Yeah, it's a multiverse, exactly.
Well, I get toxicity on my end just for being a girl. And like you guys are
I can't
predominantly,
imagine that.
I mean, it's all males.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've never been like directly targeted at, but I definitely do get the sense of like, oh, you're female? You don't know what you're talking about. You have no idea. Oh, you're younger? You have no idea what you're talking about.
I really probably could have came with everybody. I think the only reason why I didn't was because it was prefaced by saying my community. I'm not on Twitter, I'm not on Instagram, and so I'm ignorant to it, I guess is what it is. I had a weird situation. I would be, I guess, more in the jock category growing up in the sense of that was more my reputation, I suppose. But anyone who knew me and any of my friends came over to my house, like when I started dating, like in high school, and the girls came over to my house, I had action figures everywhere. So the jig was up, you know what I mean? And like, this is really who I am and what I'm really about, and I always found I got a great reaction from that. I think if people buy too much into the toxic nature of Marvel versus DC or whatever the movie is and their gripes on it, they're losing a chance to focus on the positive of the character and why they love it.
My side would win in a fight.
I'm assuming this is like an in-universe fight. I'm assuming. That's I don't know. I'm gonna say probably not. Only because the only really like to a degree invincible. Like I know. Okay, so I know Superman does have a weakness of the weakness of kryptonite. I know that. But generally speaking, if you take that kryptonite away, he's pretty much invincible. And the only other invincible character I can think of that's comparable in the Marvel universe, well, it was Vision. So I don't know. Although there is the Hulk, but I don't know. I'm not sure.
I'm going for it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wow, they know too.
They know.
It's good. They know what's up.
They know the place.
Because they have Superman. So I mean,
I think that's why the conversation is Marvel connects more with like the real person, because DC does feel like Titans. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to me, comic books are American mythology. I heard that somewhere in a documentary, and it's true. We don't have like an American mythos outside of like Paul Bunyan and like some silly stuff. It's superheroes is really what it is. Yeah. And Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, these like, Atlas holding the world on their shoulders figures, it's like, it's always them. Batman's like plan to defeat everyone is just, I'm Batman.
Yeah.
And everyone on Earth goes, he's right.
Yeah, get out of the way.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're gonna get down to the brass of it, a pissed off Superman, good luck. Someone taking out the big dog,
I always see these videos on YouTube like, oh yeah, Superman versus Hulk, or Batman versus Iron Man. And it's like, it's all made up. So people have their own
And listen, until Superman fights Goku, we know that's the real one.
See, we're not all delusional.
Hi guys.
I mean, this isn't even a question. Like, the Justice League is way overpowered. Like, way overpowered.
Right.
I would just say their brutality is a lot more severe compared to Marvel characters. That was like the only thing that came to mind. I was saying the MCU is a little bit more light and fluffy, so they have a little bit more humanistic like thoughts, and I just feel like they would completely just destroy them, unfortunately. Yeah.
I guess my only question would be, if you want to pit one person against another person, the whole argument that I hear a lot with, DC fans is Batman with prep time. What is that argument? Because he's just a dude.
I've never made that argument because honestly, the argument is usually he's already had the prep time.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's always the twist.
So you just assume he's already figured it
Batman's
out?
prepared for every his mind is like, I've calculated 17 million outcomes.
Prepared, yeah.
Like if
He's
they,
Doctor Strange essentially.
He's Doctor
without the
Strange.
time.
Yeah, like if
okay.
they were together in a movie and Doctor Strange was like, I saw these outcomes, he'd be like, yeah, I did too.
Yeah.
And as a reader too, not just a viewer, I do get bored of that. You know what I mean? Because then there's almost no stakes. It's just like Batman knew all along. I was like, oh cool, so it didn't even matter,
What I liked about Infinity War and the Snyder Cut was the level of dread you felt for the characters and what they were having to go through in order to get to their goal, and their goal was not ultimately met. especially with Infinity. I got so emotional at Infinity War, and my head literally hurt after watching that. Like having the characters be vulnerable, like not having them at their peak, is very important for the audience to be able to relate and to be able to feel for the characters.
Right.
Martin Scorsese said Marvel movies are not cinema. Step forward if you agree.
What does he mean by they're not cinema? Mind your research. I don't understand what he means by that. So let's have a look at this. So I found an article which has this. So Martin Scorsese, one of the most venerated current directors, has decreed superhero movies, the most dominant force in today's industry. The director of films such as Taxi Driver, Raging Bull, and Goodfellas told Empire magazine that his attempts to get up to speed with contemporary superhero films has failed, critiquing him, saying, "I tried, you know." The director said when asked if he had seen Marvel's movies, but that's not cinema. He continued, "Honestly, the closest I can think of them as well made as they are, with actors doing the best they can under the circumstances, is theme parks. It isn't cinema of human being. It isn't the cinema of human beings trying to convey emotional psychology experiences to another human being." I'm gonna go no.
Agree. Now step forward if you disagree.
Yeah, no, because if you're watching this video and then you read that or you hear that after watching this, you think, well, they've talked so much about how personally the characters connect with the audience, so no.
Well, what does he know about making movies? Right? I think we all are going to disagree pretty heavy with that one. If you look at not just the numbers and not just the worldwide success, but also the stories and the emotions and the ebb and flow of the storytelling, I think they're definitely not only cinematic, but some of the best examples of art that a worldwide audience of different ages and a lot of different people can come together and watch and enjoy, where maybe sometimes a more boutique or arty film might not have that same response.
Yeah. I think the second you try to put ground rules on what art is, you fundamentally don't understand. You're missing the point of art.
Yeah. Absolutely.
For sure.
Like, how do you define cinema?
Right.
You can't.
Right.
There's no, cookie cutter definition of, oh, okay, this movie is cinema, but like Shrek 2 is not. Like, it's
high cinema.
But it's that type of thing where if you decide that things have limits, you're already not only limiting the audience, but you're limiting creative freedom. If someone comes along and says, oh, that's not cinema, what are you telling the future filmmakers? That what they want to do is not considered cinema? You're immediately, trashing what these new people want to do.
It brings people together is the biggest thing. I think a cinema can do that. Yeah, here we go.
I mean, me and my dad watch it together. Me and my mom, me and my friends, and we're all different ages. That's like the point of cinema. So.
Group hug, everybody. Group hug. Bring it in.
Decent stuff. So I think both have their merits. Both have different, their own unique themes and genres that make them what they are. So I think to be honest, I think it depends on the person. I think. Well, that was fun. I enjoyed that. I wasn't too sure how this was gonna go, and it kind of went very well. It didn't it was still very deep and thoughtful as normally these Jubilee stuff normally is. But it was different. It was a nice topic change for different. So yeah. Well, that's what I've got. That's what I've got for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, leave a comment, and consider subscribing to my channel, such as Beckett. We've made 500. Now let's see if we can get to 1,000. If you'd like, in the description, there's a link to my link tree. On that link tree, you can find links to several other places where I do so much other stuff. At this point, it's crazy. Go have a gander at that, see what takes your fancy. Thank you. Thank you all so much for watching, and thank you all again so much for 500, it means a lot to me, and well, I shall see you in the next video. Adios.